14th day of October, year 2013. We are still in the thick of things, celebrating and commemorating Filipino-American History Month in October. And that has something to do with what we're going to be talking about right about now. We have famous couple here, Rose Estepa Ibanez. Welcome to Kababayan today with Florante. They're both co-authors of Filipinos in Carson and the South Bay. Welcome to our program.
Oh, thank you.
You've been here before. We talked about the book, but for some who probably missed that show where we talked about the book, what is it about?
Well, the book is about mainly Filipino-American history in Carson and the South Bay. So Filipinos don't know that Filipinos have been coming since the turn of the century. Historically, in all the U.S. cities, it pretty much did the same thing. So Carson was no different than what happened in San Francisco or in San Diego.
Yes, especially here in Los Angeles, we know of historic Filipino town. We didn't know about the history of Filipinos in Carson. This is the book, but then also how rich is the history of Filipinos in Carson and the South Bay? And when you say South Bay, does it extend all the way to Long Beach?
Yes.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure that that got encompassed because actually when the idea came up from one of the editors for Arcadia Books. He suggested a book on Carson. And then I told him, well, you know, Carson has only been a city for so long, but Filipinos have lived here in this general South Bay area for a number of years. In fact, there was a large concentration of businesses and of Filipinos living in hotels in San Pedro on what's the name of the street now?
Right.
Like that.
In San Pedro.
Yeah.
Now, I remember...
6th Street.
6th Street. I remember that when you were first conceptualizing, planning the book, I remember, I think you came here as well. We asked people to send in photos and materials for the book, right? And now it's a book. You published it when?
2009.
And it's available... anywhere.
Various sources. We
right.
like
Amazon.com.
Yes, anywhere, right?
Yeah, Lyndon Yetis is a very good friend of ours. We like to help
Philippine
her.
Expressions Bookshop.
Exactly.
Okay, and in the coming days, you will have a chance to see the book alive. Is that because of the event that you're having on October
26th?
26th, and it's called
Book Talk.
Book Talk. Okay, tell me about what's going to happen at Book Talk.
Well, we invited a few people who are actually in the book to come and speak and talk more about their story. So like, for instance, the first Filipina councilwoman, Laura Lee Elias from the city of Carson, the first woman and the youngest who ever became a council member.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So she'll be there.
She'll be there to tell her story. What else? Who do you have?
Well, I've invited, and hopefully you'll be able to come, one of the original Rockefellers. They were a family band in the 1960s. They actually were actively all over TV. So the Ed Sullivan Show had them. The Diana Shore Show had them. Jack Benny was also
very
one of
popular.
their hosts. Yeah,
and they sang what? Covers, originals?
They sang originals. However, their one-hit wonder was Killer Joe.
Killer Joe, how does it go? Are we going to get a song out of you today?
No, not today, but well, I'll play the music if you come to the event.
Google it, Killer Joe.
Right,
okay, and then
there's some of the folks from the debut, which is the Filipino-American film that was, very popular.
When you were weaving all the stories together and trying to figure out, sift through the submissions that you got and trying to figure out which will make it to the book and which won't, and perhaps a second installment of the book if there will be, what's the common thread in the stories that you got from Filipinos? Struggles, victories, values?
Well, I think, what struck me the most was just the family.
Right.
And
family support.
A lot of the pictures that we have are from family albums. You don't find these in the archives.
Right.
You find these in people's homes.
And especially during those days when internet was not available, it's not like now. It's so easy to store photos.
Yeah.
Right.
These were printed photos, right?
These were printed photos, and a lot of times, families don't have it organized.
Right.
Some had it in albums. Some of them just had it in a box.
Oh, wow.
So it was very hard for them to even gather it for us.
I remember when I was growing up, my mom in the Philippines, and we left a lot in the Philippines of photos, she would have a chest and she would write notes in the back.
That's a good idea.
You saw that? Did you?
Some of that, but most of it, no. You had to listen to, they'd have to explain, here's my my grandma, and here's my
So
my
that's
uncle.
a story in itself.
Right,
Oh my gosh,
and then-
you should have documented it in film
Yeah,
too.
it's well, we might document what happens on the 26th as well.
Exactly. So go ahead, invite our viewers to join us on the 26th. Who should go, and is this a free event?
This is a free event. It's going to be held at the Carson Public Library, which is near the corner of Main and Carson Street in Carson, and we'll have refreshments, and thank you so much for helping us publicize the event.
3 to 5.
3 to 5 p.m.
p.m.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's important too. You don't want to come too early, too late. And also in conjunction with that, I have a display in the lobby as well of Filipino artifacts.
Okay.
So a lot of Filipino American materials, including this album and the debut.
Interesting. You
So,
know, we always
the
say that
display.
here on the show that we have a saying in Tagalog, ang hindi lumingon sa pinanggalingan, hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. And that's why every year we celebrate, commemorate our history. Also, we need to remember our elders, the ones who came before us, who
Right.
paved the way for us. They're the ones who struggle the most, correct?
Yes, yes.
And I love that family value. It also came out, recently I went to Hawaii and I got to interview Andy Bumatay, a famous actor and comedian of Filipino descent. You know, he had a soaring career here in Los Angeles, but then he moved to Hawaii, turned his back on that because he wanted his family, he wanted his children to grow up in Hawaii, to grow up in the community in Hawaii. So, I mean, it's you know, family first for a lot of Filipinos. You'll hear more about those stories in the coming days here on the show as we bring you some of the footage and interviews that I did in Hawaii. But for now, don't forget, their event, October 26th, information on the screen. Thank you so much, and more power to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be having our weekly discussion with some folks from the FilCom Center in Hawaii when we return on the show. Don't go away.